Hey YouTube, it's AllPrime13 with another video review. This time we're going to be looking at the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen 15th Anniversary multipack with Jetfire, Optimus. I will not be reviewing the motorcycle triplets. They're really not worth mentioning. I don't even think they should have been included in this pack. They're not good. I do not like them one little bit. But here we have the artwork on the front of the box. Get a little bit of a zoom out. We got our Transformers Revenge of the Fallen 15th Anniversary bit here. Got our usual logos and whatnot. Here we got our mugshot of the motorcycle sisters. And on this side we got our mugshots of Optimus and Jetfire. We got our movie logo on top, our legal jargon, and our product shots. So yeah, we got Jetfire, we got Optimus, we got the jet powered combination, and we got our motorcycles. We got our backdrop, and we got our little blurb. But that's about it for the actual box. We will briefly bring in the display base, which I think I mentioned that it didn't feel like the motorcycle sisters should have fit in, because while they were technically in this scene, they were basically just blink and you'll miss it, they got blown up cameo, which apparently I'm not the only one who thought so, because they literally put the Hong Kong scene on the back side. So I don't know how to feel about that. I really don't think they should have been included. But I'm guessing they were put in because this is an Autobot only pack, and hopefully they'll do a Decepticon one in the near future. Even so, they probably should have put in like Ratchet and Jolt instead, but nah, I don't know. But yeah, there's the base of displayage. So getting on to the figures here, we will first take a look at the Optimus Prime, and I'll be honest, I don't like this mold very much. It is definitely proven to me that the Studio Series, or at least this one, I don't think there's another Prime as of right now. I know they're working on a Age of Extinction / Last Night version, which hopefully that'll replace this, because I do not think this is their best work by any means. It's not the worst mold ever or anything like that, but I do feel that they can and have done better with Optimus Prime molds. I think I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in my first impressions, but you know, this Voyager Prime looks 1,000 times better in both vehicle and robot mode, and given this one is very very complex in its transformation, this one is definitely a lot simpler, and I get people will probably prefer it for that reason, and you know, I see no issue with that. There are definitely Transformers I do not like because they are excuse me, are over-engineered. Personally, I tend to like more complex transformations when they are done well. This one I don't like too much, but I do prefer the Revenge of the Fallen Leader Prime. I really enjoy that one. But yeah, you know, sometimes you'll get like Masterpiece, or you know, especially like with third-party Transformers that are just so complex, and you know, it's a bazillion different panels and clearance issues and yada yada. I understand why people might prefer this version for their, you know, jet power combination, just because it's not over-engineered to hell and back. So I get it. I do understand that people might prefer this for its a little more straightforwardness, I suppose. And there are some engineering bits on this I do like how the arms become the truck cab, how they sort of fold up differently, and you could sort of see his shoulders and elbows here. I do like that, but you know, for the most part, I do think previous figures have done this mold, or rather this version of the character, better. But yeah, and mine definitely seems to have some quality control issues. This does not want to stay together. These do not like to peg in to the sides of his legs here very well. One of his leg joints, these parts here, one of them sits very sturdy in robot mode, but the other one does not really lock in. But the joint is tight enough it won't, you know, like fall over, but if you bump it, it will shift out of place a little bit. So this one definitely has some quality control issues. Some other issues I have with him are this gap here. Just, you know, you just see robot parts here. Like there's no getting around that. There are just some robot parts here. I also noticed on this particular one, because I watched Prime vs. Prime video on how to combine these two, because I noticed there was a big chunk of jetfire left, and there was no mention of it in the instructions, which apparently was an issue the first time around too. But I noticed that he doesn't have the yellow highlights on the front of the truck. And to show you what I mean, there's no yellow on the very front of the truck, which I feel is kind of disappointing. Mostly because, again, as I mentioned in my first impressions, the Studio series are supposed to be the, you know, really accurate ones, the really detailed, accurate versions, and this does not feel like it accomplishes that in any significant way. So I definitely have, I'm definitely disappointed in this specific figure and mold. Again, I am kind of harping on it here. I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but I definitely feel like, again, they can and already have done better in the past. So I don't know. Hopefully their last night Studio Series Prime, you know, makes up the slack. And I don't believe there's any other Bayverse movie primes for the first three movies. So as far as I am aware, this is the only one. If there is another one, let me know. I'd definitely like to look into it and check it out, but I haven't seen any online or anything. So, but he does store his swords here on his feet. They just peg in this tab to right between his toes, like so. So that's cool that he's got, you know, storage. But yeah, overall, not in love with this one. But I will do one quick comparison here with the Revenge of the Fallen Leader Prime, and you can see how shrinkflation is a thing. And I don't think it's fair to compare these two. I'm not, you know, saying like, oh, this one's better because they did, you know, better engineering. It's a leader class from like almost 20 years ago, like I think it's like 17 years ago or something that the first movie came out, something like that. It's not fair to compare them. I'm not trying to say, oh, this is the better one for this, and this. It's a completely different scenario, different size class, different budget, completely different engineering. Don't get me wrong, I will choose this figure, every time. But I don't think comparing these two is fair because, again, this is, a more recent Voyager where this is old school leader class where they were bulky and had way more plastic and engineering and gimmicks. So I don't think it's fair to compare them. But I just wanted to give you a sort of side-by-side comparison of how they look. So, But yeah, very different figures. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts on Prime so far. But But yeah, if you're getting this for the 2-pack for the jet combination mode, you know, I say, you know, that's fine. Go ahead and get it. That's the reason I got it. If you know you're looking to get this Optimus specifically, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless, you know, even as a huge Optimus Prime fan, I feel like there are better options you could go for. But, you know, maybe that's partially just, you know, how I feel like it doesn't feel like it should be studio series. It feels like a cheaper Voyager that was, you know, not designed well. But yeah, I don't want to bash on it too much, but at the same time, like, I'm just really not thrilled with how this one is. But enough about Prime. Let's actually take a look at Jetfire, the leader class in the multi-pack. And I really do enjoy this Jetfire. I do feel like he is, for the most part, a strong improvement in many ways over the original. And I still do very much like the original. I will say that he doesn't, his panels do not tab together the best. Like, you know, there's a gap here and here along the wings, and you can sort of see how these are not sitting flush. And, you know, I do feel like there are some, you know, discrepancies in how everything plugs together, which is a bit disappointing. But I'm not even sure how I'm going to display this guy yet, so I'm not really sure if it will matter or not, because if I display him in robot or the combination mode, it probably won't matter. I do like that they gave him that axe. I'm pretty sure he used in the movie when he like did that landing thing and like cut a Decepticon in half or something like that. They do have his cane as the front landing gear again, that was present in the original figure. And they do just tab in underneath. This just has, you know, 2 tabs. They go in here and here, and it stores nicely. He does have molded landing gear, no actual rolling wheels, unfortunately. So you're, you know, just dragging him. He's not rolling or anything. And for the most part, he is what I was expecting him to be when I ordered the multi-pack, you know, being that of a shell former. He literally is wearing his alt mode on his back like a turtle. One thing that I've noticed is these little rubbery bits are a bit different than the original, and those mostly come into play for the combination. But and yeah, see, this is coming untabbed as I'm trying to plug it back in. But I do feel that these were done a little bit better on the original. But I will say that I like that they do plug in his actual robot mode, because I'm pretty sure on the first, the original, they just kind of dangled around during robot mode. He does parts form into the combination mode, which I've heard some people actually think that was better. And I can see where they're coming from. I do think that it does make it a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? I do think overall it does work a little better for the combination mode. And, you know, it's not like you have to parts form him, you know, to just transform him or anything, so that's not really too big of a deal to me. The biggest complaint I think I really have with him, aside from just, you know, the panels not sitting super flush, is there are 2 yellow dots, this being one of them, and the other being on one of his robot mode feet. I can't remember which one it is. You can't really see it because it's on the top of the toe piece on one side. And I think that was done to differentiate which side is which when you take him apart, because the legs and this nose cone do separate, as I mentioned with the parts forming. But they only plug in a certain way, so you can't put them in on the wrong side. So that's just a yellow blemish that does not need to be there. And I'm not sure if there's a way to remove this. I might look into it, because I think there are ways to remove that with like some rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. So I will probably do that, because I think it's an eyesore. There's just this random yellow dot on the jet and then on his foot, and I just don't like the way it looks. But moving on, we'll bring in the original leader jetfire. And as you can see, once again, you know, old leaders are definitely much larger. But yeah, he excuse me, I think I'm catching a cold or something. He does look a lot sorry, I lost my train of thought. He does look very good. They both look very good. I think one of my favorite improvements is actually these tail fins. As you can see, they don't move. They're very solid. These are just on friction joints, and some of them, I think it's mostly on this other side here. This one is really loose and just tends to flop around. But yeah, and again, you can see how that yellow dot just sticks out like a sore thumb on this sheer black look, which is a bummer. Another thing that I do have to say that old does better is there are more decals, like you can see here. He's got jetfire on the side. There are no Decepticon symbols on the back fins, which is a bummer. He does have the same... No, he does not have the exact same. He does have this skunk decal, which I don't know the story behind that. But the little sort of wings one right here is different, because this one actually has a Decepticon symbol in it. Which, you know, I think that's cool. There's no writing here on the side where that little yellow dot normally is, right here. Some other differences are the weapons. Again, he does have his cane right here, but this one does come with a gun. This one, the cane sort of folds up into this gun, but, you know. But yeah, I definitely still like both of these, and again, I do think for the most part this one does improve in a lot of critical areas. You know, the decals and you know, obviously the size, which isn't really something that you can do anything about, are where this one definitely wins out. But yeah, in articulation, I think that, you know, they definitely did great improvements here, and the overall screen accuracy and the design definitely improved. But I can't say I necessarily prefer one over the other at this time, as far as just the base figure goes, because they're both very good. I do like both of them. I will say for the combination, there are definitely some aspects in which I feel this one, the old original, does better, especially when it comes to the giant blaster feature. But I will get to that when we get to the combination. But, I almost forgot to show off the instruction booklet, but yeah, we're not really going to be looking at that too much, but yeah, here it is. You have instructions. So I think we should probably move on to the transformations. So yeah, let me get that all set up real fast. Okay, so first we'll start by transforming Optimus here. And we're going to start by just, you know, taking these Zords off and putting them off to the side. But yeah, first thing we want to do is we're going to come here and untab these panels that don't tab in anyway, and then pull them backwards like so on these hinges. And you might, yeah, just sort of angle them and then lift this whole back panel up like so. Then we're going to come to the front, and these other panels that don't really like to tab together, we're going to open those up, and you can sort of see his forearms here. We're just going to bring this down a little bit and separate that from the front of the cab, and just sort of unfold his arms here. Next we are going to take his tires, and I do, another thing about his engineering I like is how these sort of hook in at a little angle. It actually makes them very sturdy with how they tab in. But yeah, we're going to take this whole armature of the wheel and just collapse it down and bring it up against the back of his leg, like so. We can now split his arms a little bit, and then we're going to open up these window pieces in the back, and you can just sort of wiggle the top of the truck here up. It's on a double hinge, and then we're going to bring this whole section like this forward, and then you want to make sure you bring these panels back if they get caught. And then these these air filters is what they are. You're going to untab them from the sides, and then you want to bring them and fold it like so, so that it won't catch on the window as you fold it back around. Fold it back and bring it around. Then we can take the arm and on this hinge here, rotate it up and rotate it up. Coming back here, we're going to bring his waist down like so, just so we can finish up here in the back. And we can bring his head, you sort of want to push up on the bottom here, like so, to bring his head around, and click it into place like so. And then you just fold these flame panels in, and they do sort of interlock, so you want to sort of fold them down together like so. Then these, what I do is I fold the air filters out to the sides and then bring it down like so. And that's pretty much it for that little back area for now. And then we can bring these, and those parts are starting to fold out again. Bring these forward, and there is this little sort of mirror piece and a big slot to tap them together. And then you can bring the windows in, and they will peg into his chest like so. Coming back to the arms, there is this other angled hinge here where you want to bring the arm out. Oh, these came out again. Okay, so you want to bring that out, and then you're going to bring this whole red section back as well. And then there's a little slot right here that will come over this big tab to create his shoulder. Then you're going to rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Come on, tab on. There we go. Then you can bring these panels here, like so. And then this top of the truck, there are 2 tabs and 2 slots, and you just sort of bring that back. Then fold these around and just sort of get them out of the way. And then again, 2 slots, 2 tabs. And bring that together, and then you just sort of rotate these to angle like so. And that's it for his backpack. And again, the backpack has this big glaring hole in it, which I do not like. But anyway, moving on, we can fold these 2 shoulder pads down and come to his arms. And as you can see, there's sort of his hands are sort of angled here, and you just sort of want to wiggle this loose and then rotate that like so, straighten out his hand, and then this whole assembly will rotate around and sort of come around his arm like so. So there is his forearm. And again, we just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Nope. Rotated it the wrong way, and then just fold that around like so. Alright, now to finish up, we come here to the waist, and this tire is bumping in. Okay, there we go. Rotate his waist around to face forward. We want to separate his feet, and then we bring this whole panel here around like so, and it'll sort of find a groove and lock in. At least on that side it does. This side, as I mentioned, doesn't like to stay completely locked in. But you'll bring them both around like so. And then we can bring this wheel up on this little armature and tuck it against the back of his leg which I did not know about coming out of the box, so I didn't mention it in the first impressions. But I do really appreciate this, because it does give him that more accurate look for the tires, even if they do use different parts of the body. And I'm not against them, completely redoing the transformation. I just think that they didn't do a very good job with the final appearance, is all. But yeah, you bring those wheels up, and that's your Optimus in robot mode. And there are some good things and some bad things. I do like these more accurate shoulders on the arms. I do like how they did these wheels. I think that looks very good. Again, I do not like the huge gape in the backpack, because no matter what angle you look at it, there's a huge hole. It's just every angle. Fortunately, you can't see it from the front, so as long as you're displaying it from the front, you're not going to have to worry about that. But it is there, and I do find it unpleasant, just because of how massively open it is. I'm not necessarily against backpacks. I know those parts have to go somewhere, but I do feel like they could have cleaned that up better. I do wish that these panels actually tabbed into the arm somewhere. They don't flop around too much, but they also are really easy to bump, out of place. I do kind of like the way his chest comes together. I'm not really big on these huge red sections under his arm, but as far as like straight on, I do think the chest looks okay. This red piece is actually something that comes off. It's just sort of a pure clear plastic that was just painted and plugged in. I'm not gonna take it off because I don't want to loosen the grip on it or anything, but it did pop off once, which that's it's not a huge deal. You could probably just glue that in place if it's really an issue, because you're never really going to intentionally take it off. He doesn't have a matrix feature or anything for it to cover up, so it's perfectly fine for you to just glue that into place. These are definitely very loose. As you can see, they definitely pop off to the side on this hinge very easily. But yeah, out of the robot modes, again, I do feel that this is sort of underwhelming. Again, I don't think this is I don't want to feel like I'm harping on it too much, but I just don't enjoy this figure as much as many others that have come before. But overall, I think he looks okay. I think he looks acceptable, as long as you're looking at him from the front. Most people aren't going to display their figure like this, or like this or this, so they're kind of nitpicky, I'll admit, but it does on this figure, it does bother me. But from the front, he does look pretty solid. We do sorry, I'm coughing so much today. Get a look on that head sculpt. It is the traditional Prime head sculpt with the face mask, which is very much the superior look. It does seem like his head is on a bit of a ball joint. He does get plenty of side to side, and he can very much look up. He can look down a little bit. There's sort of a groove that his head goes into, which is sort of part of the transformation, but it does give him a slightly looking down look, so I do like that. The knee pads can move, so that's cool. And we'll just go into the full articulation here. His shoulders can do a full 360, just make sure you don't catch on this piece. The shoulder pads do move up, as well as the arm moves very far up. He does have a full bicep swivel, so there is that. He does have just a smidge over 90 degrees at the elbow. He does have wrist rotation, and if you were to, pull this down, you can give him a little bit of a wrist bend, which I do appreciate. That I do like wrist bend, especially for characters that wield swords, which he does. If you want to, you can, open up the windows and stuff, if you're, making him look like he got shot or, exploded or something. I will say that, well, actually, he does have some waist movement, but yeah, these panels, the truck grill does get in the way. He does have out to the side that far. He can kick very far forward, and the more colliding, he can't really go very far back. The thing that I absolutely love is that you can bend his knee, and because of the way this armature works, it doesn't interfere with that look of his wheels on his hip. And I think that that is probably my favorite thing about this figure, is that is just chef's kiss right there on that knee. And a very good knee bend, over 90 degrees at the knee. And as you can see, this is sort of moving as I'm bending his leg, whereas this one I can actually just grip it by that panel, by that piece, and it won't shift. So yeah, it's loose on this side. I have had these wheels pop off a couple times, especially on this side when I'm like trying to grip it to unlock it, but they just pop in and out. It's not a problem. His feet are on hinges, 2 hinges, or rather a hinge and a swivel, so he does get up and down at the foot, as well as plenty of ankle tilt. So as far as articulation goes, I'd say he's probably, I think he's about an 8 as far as articulation goes. 8.5, 8.5. He's got solid articulation. It's mostly just, you know, the backpack, again, causing issues with the movement, you know, with the waist and the backwards of the legs. So yeah, I think this backpack is the biggest drawback in just the figure overall. But yeah, overall he's got solid articulation. And yeah, I think that's about it for articulation. We can bring in his Energon swords, and they just have these posts here that you can plug into his hands. Now in the movie, the orange glowy bit that is slightly longer is on the bottom, so what I like to do is actually peg this in from the bottom of his hand, like so, and then you just fold that up, and that looks pretty screen accurate. But if you so choose, you can, it'll look weird if I don't use the right side, you can plug it in over the top of the hand, and I mean, it still looks fine. I just prefer it when the orange glowy bit is on the bottom. But yeah, you can give him his swords, and this way you do kind of see the plug. If you plug it in from the bottom, it does hide it a little bit better. And I do like that there's this panel here that sort of like covers up the hand, sort of giving a little bit of an illusion that it's, you know, his hand is transformed into it from the angle, from the side angle. But, you know, obviously it's, you know, just here on the front. But still, I do think the swords look good. And, you know, we got our, you know, carved Cybertronian symbol there. Sort of hard to see with my camera. And then we do have this nice sort of glossy gunmetal paint on there, which does look nice. Yep. I did mention that he is sort of missing that yellow orangish paint from the truck mode, which does kind of make him look a little bit like it does feel a little cheap that they skipped out on that. Honestly, if they were going to do a battle damage version of this character, this would have been the opportunity to do it, because he literally is supposed to have just come back from being dead. I'm not always a big fan of battle damage, especially where, you know, they put like big burns and blast marks on them, but I feel if there was ever a time that it would have been justified, it would have been this multi-pack, but it is what it is. I think overall his colors do look good. I just do feel that I think it's a pretty common complaint that Studio Series needs more paint, but I do wish they had added that orange in. But then again, in robot mode, it would have supposed to have been right here, and this is, you know, the back wheels on this mold, so it is what it is. But I do know that when I watched that video of Prime versus Prime doing the combination tutorial, there was some like here and I think on the tops of his arms, but again, it is what it is. Overall, he does look good. I've been harping on him a lot, but he's not the worst thing ever, and I really want to make it clear that I don't hate this figure. I just feel like it could have been better. I know I'm repeating myself, but I really do want to drive that point home, that he's not hot garbage. He's not some cheap knockoff that's going to fall apart in your arm. I just think that he wasn't engineered as good as some previous figures. But we'll bring in another comparison here. This time we'll bring in the Earthrise Optimus mold. So there's that. You can see that they're both Voyager, even though this one's technically a leader class. But yeah, they're around the same height. This one's like a smidge taller-ish. But he's a chunky boy. And then we can bring in I believe the Hunt for the Decepticons Revenge of the Fallen Prime. And again, you can see this guy is, way more detailed and stuff, but his transformation is also kind of absurd. So I do understand why people might prefer this guy, just because this is one of the few figures I actually feel that in mainline the transformation was too much. Again, I do like the Revenge of the Fallen Leader Prime, but I feel this guy's got too many finicky bits. Yeah, we'll just get a little side to side here. And this guy does have the gas tank guns. I wish they had included a blaster with him, but it is what it is. Then again, he didn't really use a blaster in that scene, so I guess it doesn't really need to be there. But yeah, anyway. And just for the sake of covering all my bases, here we have... God, he's taller than I remember. The beastly Revenge of the Fallen Leader Prime. So yeah, and again, I will pick this figure every time, but it's not fair to compare them. It's just not. They are just completely different leagues. This is an old leader at an old leader budget, as well as an old leader price tag. And this guy is a modern Voyager with a much smaller budget. It's just, there is no comparison. It's not fair to compare them. So I'm not going to. This is just to show them side by side. But yeah, that is Prime's transformation to robot mode. I do want to mention that this guy is packed in robot mode, whereas Jetfire is packed in vehicle mode. I'm doing it this way just because they both need to be in robot mode for the combination. But yeah, let's move on to Jetfire's transformation. Okay, now we are looking at Jetfire's transformation for this multi-pack. And again, I do like this vehicle mode quite a bit. I'm already a big fan of the SR-71 Blackbird. Again, there is that yellow dot, which just annoys the hell out of me. And again, he is a shell former. All the bits are just, there for the world to see. Cover yourself up, man. But yeah, we want to start by removing his axe, putting that off to the side. And then we want to take off his landing gear, and there's just a peg right here, and then there's this sort of slot, this square slot here on the bottom, and we just want to straighten this out, and there we have the cane. We'll put that off to the side, and we're going to flip in these landing gear into his legs, like so. First thing we are going to do is come up here and break his neck, like so. And then we can untab these panels and bring them out to the side, like so. And then we can sort of untab this from the head. There is a little tab under here that just slots right into his noggin. But yeah, then we're going to come here and we're going to fold this nose cone like so, and it does have soft plastic at the end, so it's not gonna stab anybody. But we fold that in, and then we fold it down again and sort of bring that back like so. Then we can sort of unhook these back panels from the legs. And when you tab these in going into vehicle mode, you just kind of have to feel for it, because there's just a tab like right here that goes into a slot here. You'll feel it click. It's pretty easy to tell when you've actually got it in. You'll feel it. But then we want to come here and sort of wiggle these panels out. Well, actually, let's wiggle them loose, and then gotta, there we go, bring them out like so, and then this will be on a double hinge, and we can just sort of bring that down. Don't tab it all the way in yet. We want to come here to these rubbery bits and untab them from the bottom. There's just this little piece right here that will tab in to this slot right here under the wing. And here it is tabbed in, and then we just sort of untab it. Then we can bring these two big sections down like so to form the crotchal area. Then we can bring this up, make sure that this is connected properly down the middle. And here with the arms, we can bring them out to the side. And this one's tabbed in a lot more securely. I have noticed that on one of his arms, I think it's this one. Yeah, this one, you can see that it does that. I'm not going to tab in, even though I'm completely meant to. And it's the same with this tab in the gun mode for the combination. I don't know why, it's just this arm. This arm does fine. But yeah, so yeah, now we can bring this whole nose cone assembly down. Or actually, we don't want to bring it all the way down, because we want to fold this sort of armature together like so. And then you want this to go here, and just sort of wiggle that in there. And just make sure everything's all squeezing together. Then we can come to the legs here, and we're gonna wiggle these panels here out to the side, and this will loosen up this fin so it can just lay flat. And this one's already sort of doing it, but yeah, we want to bring this panel out to the side like so. Then we come around here and untab the foot, and then yeah, we extend it on these ratchets here, and then rotate the foot down like so. Then there is a rotating hinge like so. Then we're going to take the assembly here at the thigh. This whole silver engine bit is just going to rotate 180, and then you can bring the whole thing down and adjust it like so to however you want to position it. We're going to untab the foot, bring it out, bring the foot down, rotate that, rotate, and adjust. Then we do want to come under here, and there are these two little toes that, if I can get it, that will fold out like so to make the foot more symmetrical. I'll bring that out like so. And yeah, just sort of flatten it out and adjust as you see fit. Then we can take these rubbery bits, make sure you grab the right side, geez, and they are actually going to tab in to this sort of side of his chest panel here. There is a slot right here, that will tab in like so. And that gives his chest a little bit more complete look, and it kind of gives him these old man suspender. And it also does make it so those just aren't flopping around, because I do believe that is a thing with the original, is they just flop around in robot mode. But yeah, rinse and repeat, plug that in like so. Then we can just open up his arms and bring them down Put up his arms and bring them down. Come back here, fold this against his back, and it does tab in, and just sort of angle these to your liking. And there we have Jetfire in his, oh, we gotta bring out his absurd whiskers, like so. And there we have Jetfire in his robot mode. And he do have his cane, which there is a tab in the palm, or a hole in the palm, which you can put it in like that, and then you just sort of, actually we'll rotate his wrist around, just sort of put it like here, and now he has his cane. And as far as the axe goes, he does have a second port in each hand right here between the fingers and the thumb, and it will just tab in there. The cane does fall out sometimes, but the axe holds very sturdy. But yeah, so there we have Jetfire, and we'll briefly go over his articulation. He has lots of articulation in the arms. He's actually got double joints at the wrists because of how they fold up. He also has a full wrist swivel. He does have a full like back and forth on the elbow with over 90 degrees of bend. His shoulders, I don't think they actually peg in up here, but yeah, they do have up and down, and the shoulders here also move up and down. So there is that. He has multiple ratchet joints in his legs, just because he's sort of got that whole chicken leg thing. He does have out at the hips. He can move up that far, and you can go quite a ways back before you start colliding with things. So he does have plenty of rotation there. No waist, but that's partially because of how his whole lower body comes together. He does have ankle pivot, and he does have plenty of up and down, as well as a bend here on the back. Don't really know what that's for. There's no real reason you would use that, because it would just make it harder for him to stand. He has essentially multiple hinges on his head, but it sort of functions almost like a ball joint. You can look way up because of how his head pegs in, which, you know, he can look at you like straight on. It's very weird. This came unpegged. Oh, come on. Come on. Get back in your home. Come on. Yeah, these rubbery bits are a little taut and can be a bit annoying sometimes. But he does get some side to side, and he does actually have a full rotation at the neck. So yeah, you can do unhinged things like this. But yeah, all of his beard bits are done in that soft plastic. I can't really get a close-up on him because my camera's not tall enough, but he does have some red under his sort of eyelids. I do sort of like how they did the crest piece here, but I think overall I prefer the older head sculpt, because I think his face was a little more pronounced, but we'll look at that when I compare them. And again, he does have the huge whiskers and all that. I will say I definitely do prefer his arms on this version. They do feel much more accurate and much more articulated, and probably better, definitely better proportion too. But yeah, we'll pull this back, and I guess I should bring in the other Jetfire. Okay, so bringing in the old Jetfire here. I mean, they're both old, but you know what I mean. And this is actually the first time I'm getting a good look at them, in their robot mode side by side. I looked at them plenty in their jet modes, but I cannot deny how much of an improvement this one is. And despite his much smaller vehicle mode, he's almost the same height. They do stand pretty similar because they've pretty much pulled an animated lockdown and given him very thin, lanky limbs, and it works very well. He's also a lot lighter. But yeah, he holds his cane better too, and yeah, this guy's got some weak knee ratchets, but I will say that I do still prefer not really the whole head sculpt, but the fact that they actually painted his eyes a lot more. Because here, it sort of looks like his eyes are closed because there's only a teeny bit of red like right under here, and it's hard to see even just normally, not, you know, with my crappy camera and all that, it, you know, pretty much isn't showing up at all, but even just normally I can't really see it. But yeah, overall, yeah, the Jetfire is a huge glow up as far as the robot mode goes. Way better kibble management, way less I don't know if I would say unnecessary bulk, but he's definitely much lankier like he was in the actual film. He is very screen accurate, and I do appreciate that. I mean, that's why we, you know, enjoy the Studio series, which is why I've been having issues with the Optimus. But yeah, it looks phenomenal. As far as the robot mode goes, we have a very clear winner. So there is that. Yeah, I do still enjoy this figure, and I do still slightly prefer his vehicle mode, but that's mostly just because, like, the vehicle mode just has that big bulkiness to it. That's how I display him, is in his jet mode, on like a top of a shelf as the plane. But yeah, there's no contest that this is the better robot. So, but that is that comparison, and just for a common denominator, here he is with the Earthrise Prime. You can I'll show you whippersnappers how it's done. But yeah, there's that. But yeah, I guess now the only thing really left to do is get them combined, so let's get set up for that. Alright, so we got our two combined pieces ready, or we're going to get them ready. So first we want to take off Prime's swords. We're going to take away Jetfire's axe and cane. Set all that off to the side. So for Prime, we want to come back here and sort of undo his backpack a bit. We're going to fold these out and rotate these up. And we're going to bring this whole section down like so. And then I think that's all we do for right now. I know we got to do something with the feet in a bit, but we'll put him off to the side. Now with Jetfire, what we're going to do is we're basically going to pull a Megatron on him. And first thing we want to do is we want to come down here to these joints right here under the leg, and they will come off. They are very secure, which, yeah, there we go. It's just supposed to slide off. Preferably not with that much force though. Ow! As they stab me in the thumb. But yeah, now we got both of his legs off. Gonna come here and untab these rubbery bits, and then we're going to come here to this armature here, and the separation point is right here towards this little angled nub. We're gonna separate that like so. Put this off to the side. Then we're gonna come here to the nose cone, unfold it, straighten this out, and then we're going to take this section off right before the hinge. And we can just fold that back in like so. And now we have Jetfire in his separated components. So we're gonna take the top of the torso and put that off to the side because that's the least important piece, at least for right now. And so for this, we are going to separate the crotch down the middle like so. We're going to fold these pieces back together here, and we're going to bring the jet engines facing down, and I do believe we just leave this like so. Okay, and we do, yeah, the dangly bits are just kind of there. Okay, there is one thing I forgot on Prime, so we're going to come back here. So the silver parts of the grill, there's this little gray piece right here, and you're going to rotate it out like so. This little gray tab right here. You're going to do that on the same side here, and those are going to peg in to these slots right here. No, come on. Okay. And oh, I know what I did wrong. We got to bring these engines down because they need to face lower. And that popped off. Fortunately, this is just sort of a plug-in piece, so we're just gonna plug that back on for now. His personal backpack. Okay, now we got the jet engines, and I do believe this just sort of sits back here. Okay, next we want to do the legs. So for this, we gotta pull this part forward, and oh yeah, we do need to rotate these like we're going into truck mode. So you want to bring these back around. I knew there was something I was supposed to do with the legs. There we go, like so. And you're actually going to flip-flop these because it's going to be left on right and right on left. But this tab here is going to go into this big slot right here, like so. And then you sort of bring this up and it'll clip in right here into this slot. And then I do believe we have to rotate this around with that very unpleasant sound. And then this should tab in to, or wait, we're supposed to do it this way first? Yeah, sorry, that whole backpack thing's got me all looped around. I swear never the way this is supposed to tab in. The heck? Did I goof? I think I goofed. I do not like how that sounds. That sounds like plastic ripping apart. Oh, now I remember. Yeah, you bring this peg into this hole right here, and then fold that like so. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Open this up, slot this in, tab it in, And we bring this peg here. I guess you could angle it that way if you so choose. Yeah, that does look a little cleaner. Can't remember if that's what the instructions said to do. But yeah, there we go. And of course this came untapped. Come on. Yeah, that's actually getting in the way, so never mind, not doing that. Stop untabbing. Okay, and then we're going to bring these two dangly bits, as annoying as they have been, and they just sort of tab together down the center here, and you'll get this sort of seatbelt kind of thing that will, makes a big tab in the back that's supposed to slot in between this piece on his chest. Like so. And because of these pushing, they're not really pushing, but they're not super tight, so sometimes it will actually cause it to push it back out, so just be aware that that is a thing that happens. And then we want to come here to this, split it down the middle, and there are two tabs here and here, and those, again, we're going to flip-flop a big freaking yellow dot, and they're going to tab into his shoulders like so. And depending on your preference, you can leave them straight down like that, or I think there is a way to fold them together. Or no, I think this one is, I'm thinking of the other one. So I'm thinking of the old one. Yeah, you just sort of leave them like that. And sort of reorient them a bit here. And there they go, popping off. And there you have the jet-powered Optimus. And yeah, how you display this back piece is sort of up to you. Personally, I like to have it like this. So there he is in his and that came untabbed again. Stay in. There we have him in his combined mode. Now, as far as accessories go, the axe, you are, according to the instructions, supposed to take it, and it will plug in to this tab on the wing bit here. And yeah, that just sort of is supposed to sit against his back, I believe. And personally, I don't really think it looks very good just sitting there. So, but that is what the instructions say to do. As far as the cane, you want to collapse it together like so, and then there's this tab that will peg into the back of his arm like so. So he does have his little blaster on his arm, and I do not believe it's blast compatible. Yeah, no, it's not. You can put his swords in his hands, but I do believe they also store somewhere on the backpack. I don't remember where. I know it's in the instructions. Well, I have the instructions. Let me look. It's time for Soul Prime 13's reading hour. Oh, that is the wrong side. Always keep your instructions, folks. Oh no, it does not look like it says anything about them. Never mind. Never mind. It does say that you can tab them into the shoulder plates in his regular robot mode, though, which I forgot to mention. But yeah, let's get onto this mess. So you're gonna fold this down like so, and then you're going to want to bring this whole assembly forward and bring his head back like this. Actually, wait, I think we're supposed to keep this up, then do that, then rest it against it like that, yeah. And then we just sort of angle his head up as you do and fold his whiskers back, and you're basically going to tab his head back into the nose cone of the jet. And then you just kind of want to bring his arms back and oh, that's why, because it's not angled the way I want it to. There we go. Bring that whole thing. Then you just sort of bring his arms down under, and then you just sort of want to fold them up into the robot or the vehicle orientation, sort of like this. And then you're going to take these two bits you took off the wings, and they will tab together like so. And then these two tabs will slot into the front, and now you have his giant gun. And you're supposed to slot this into his hand from underneath like so, but it's so big that he can't stand up or even hold it really well, which is extremely aggravating as well as disappointing, because that was actually featured pretty prominently in that scene. So I'm very annoyed that that does not work. You'd pretty much need a separate flight stand for this, because it's half of a leader class toy that he's trying to hold with one hand, and it does not work. And this also tends to come off very easily as well. It looks kind of nice, but yeah, you can't really use it, which I have issue with. But yeah, so we might as well cut to the chase and bring in the original one here. And I will say that I do think I still prefer this one. This is more detailed, and I will admit the jetpack parts are definitely better looking. And I do think the bulk of it, the combination is better because of how jetfire separates. Because literally, like, this one is just, you know, jetfire pulling a Titanic on Optimus. But, like, he can actually hold his gun, because, I mean, they're almost the same size. But the thing is, it actually fits this figure, and he can hold it because it's just a panel that transforms into this gun. Like, it's just a panel with a cane folded up into it. It doesn't weigh like 1,000 pounds compared to the, you know, it wouldn't be like a 10,000 pound gun. It works better as far as that goes. And put it back in his hand. So yeah, he can actually use his big gun. And again, you can kind of fold these pieces however you want. If you want it to be more straight out like it is on the lower one, you can just do that, you know. So I don't know. I do think I still prefer the original for the combination, because while it may not be as screen accurate or clean, I feel like it still works better, because like he can still use all his parts. So yeah, I mean, I understand why people like this one, and you know, putting this together, I do think I at least partially understand why there's some gaps in his backpack. But you know, there's still a giant hole in the backpack, You know, I will admit the thrusters look nice, but you know, with this one, you know, the thrusters are on arms. You can move them around. You could, you know, do that shooty thing he did with the thrusters. You know, there's more. I feel the original has more actual playability because he's sturdier and holds together like he's supposed to, whereas this one just doesn't want to work with himself. Because, you know, you get this cool big gun assembly, but you can't use it because you can't hold it. It literally pulls him over. And the only thing he's holding on to is this little nub right here. This is all that it's attached to. You know, if there was like some way to, you know, get the axe to maybe, you know, I guess you could possibly hold it together. Oh, I did these arms wrong. They're supposed to tab in like so. There's a tab and a slot. Can't believe I forgot that. Even after complaining about how the arm doesn't actually tab into it earlier, because this one, oh, I guess it actually sort of tabbed in this time. Well, but yeah, anyway, this gun would be probably the coolest part if you could actually, you know, use it. So yeah, I love the Jetfire figure. The new Jetfire figure, I think, is a massive improvement in most aspects. The Optimus I find disappointing, and the combination I feel, as you can see, just does not hold together. This literally keeps popping itself out. I can't. Yeah, I think the old one's better. I'm gonna be honest, and I know a lot of people aren't gonna agree because, you know, it's clunky and it's not screen accurate, but this doesn't, I don't think it works well. I don't think it holds together well. It, on paper, it should be better, and I will admit that there's, you know, more accuracy for the most part. I won't deny that, you know, the Jetfire in this multi-pack is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, but unfortunately, seeing as how it won't stay together as this continues to tab itself out, and how he can't even use his big gun, so this is just going to be sitting on the shelf not doing anything. If you want to display it like this is just, or, you know, maybe actually I don't even think there is a good place to plug in a flight stand here. So yeah, unless you want to like glue it to his hand or something and give him a, you know, support, you know, give him a cane too. It's just a very flashy piece of junk. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with this. I don't regret buying it, but I do have a lot of issues with it. You know, if you're buying it to display it like this, I feel like, you know, it might be better just to go with the old one. I don't know. I'm sure plenty of people are going to disagree with me. A lot of people, I'm sure, prefer this because of how he, you know, comes apart and goes together. And, you know, at a glance, you know, this probably is, you know, it's definitely the prettier figure. It definitely would be the better looking if, you know, you just showed me it from a distance. But having it in hand, I prefer the old one. I feel he works better. I feel, you know, and, you know, maybe that's just how the engineering has changed over the last, like, 15, you know, whatever years it's been. But it's, I don't know. I'm not even sure what rating to give this. The Jetfire is amazing. I find the Optimus underwhelming, and I find the combination disappointing. And I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me. So, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's really what you want. And I believe I think I mentioned it in my first impressions video, there is a third-party company that released just the two figures, not the motorcycles. if you can get your hands on that, because I think that was like $60 for the two of them. I think that would have been a great deal if I could have gotten my hands on it, because this pack was like $125 after tax and shipping, and it does not feel worth that much. So if you can get like the third-party 2-pack, you know, it's probably worth it, and you know, it's probably a good display piece, but I don't feel like it's a good mess around with toy. So yeah, I'm sure people are going to disagree with me. You know, leave your thoughts in the comments. Be civil. I understand that I'm definitely the underdog here, and I understand that, you know, a lot of people probably think that this is, you know, 1,000 times better, and that I'm, you know, out of my mind for saying that the old one is better. But having both side by side, this one looks better, but that's where the benefits end. It only looks better. I don't feel like it actually is better. So I hope you at least understand where I'm coming from on this, and I'm not going to say anybody's wrong for liking this one better. Again, as far as display goes, I do think this one has the better appearance. I will give credit where it is due. And I probably would recommend it over the old one if. But yeah, if he could just use his gun, I think that would massively improve my opinion of the overall combination mode. If you're buying this pack because you don't have these figures, sort of like I did, I think that, you know, it's not the worst thing. The Optimus is at least, I think, acceptable. And the Jetfire on his own is, I think they knocked that figure out of the park. But the Optimus and the combination, I do really think they could have done better. But yeah, I'll stop repeating myself and wasting everybody's time. Again, I do want to hear what people think, and I know I'm in the minority on this, but, you know, at least be civil. Let's be reasonable here. You know, I want to hear what you think, but, you know, don't, you know, tell me I'm stupid just because I prefer the old one or something like that. We can be reasonable here. Let's agree to disagree. And I hope you at least, you know, gleaned something from this video. I know it's definitely run a bit long. And again, I do want to stress that I don't think they're terrible. The Jetfire is great. The Optimus is okay. He's not horrible. I just prefer some of the older figures to him. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say at this point. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. And this is Soul Prime 13 saying transform and soul out.